This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin Freakin.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol Live, where I'm not high enough for this shit. That might do it. Thank you, Clinically. Thank you. I'm trying to make a push on the YouTube. I've actually got a video premiering, the whole, where I was making fun of Senator Justice for saying that kids don't get enough, candy bars. That's going to premiere during the show, and then it redirects to the show. I'm going to try this out. So maybe the 3 people that watch the video that aren't here will come over and watch the show. Be like, hey, this is cool. DJ Dub, Clinically, Princess Kimberly, Shelly, good evening. Welcome in. I'm going to try to make a push. I'm going to try to post all kinds of videos this week. I'm behind. I got so much shit. Haven't even put up that video of Mark Wayne Mullen saying that we should shoot Congress people. That's totally going up. It's in the pipeline. I've been busy. Been busy getting high and jagging off. Because that's what life's about. It's a work-life balance. You got to make videos, and you got to get high and jag off. Like I said last night, everything's in moderation. You jack off in moderation. You do work in moderation. And then you have a good life. What we talk about tonight, it's bullshit. It's Live Music Monday. Stick around. We're doing WrestleMania live performances after the show. Aretha Franklin. Ray Charles. I'm like seeing him right in front of my face. Like blind black guy. Why can't I think of his name? POD. Finger 11. A lot more. Living Color. You're going to be surprised at how many bands have actually performed at a WrestleMania. Limp Bizkit. No, you're not going to be surprised by Limp Bizkit or Kid Rock. But that totally happened. I think this year we get a Travis Scott performance. They've used that Travis Scott song as like the theme for WrestleMania, but then they came out like last week and said, no, the official theme is The Weeknd. I'm like, but you've been using that Travis Scott song for like months now, and still after they announced The Weeknd, they're still using that Travis Scott song. I don't know. I do know that I guess because it's WrestleMania week, Bret Hart went on Sky News. Sports Cards, welcome in. Yeah, Stevie Wonder would have been a good guess, and I think Stevie Wonder was at a WrestleMania one time. Flash, good evening. Rednecks would love Marx if they ever actually read it. That's why right-wing propaganda demonizes him so much. Because if they actually read Marx, they'd fucking love him. I feel like everyone needs this today. This is not necessarily a funny meme. The situation was hopeless. Their propaganda would be unnecessary. Feel like there's some people in the chat that needs to hear that. Speaking of which, let's check in with, this is live in Idaho right now. Nampa, Idaho. Bernie getting ready to speak. I think AOC is still with him. Holiday, good evening. Did Liberace actually perform Battle Opossum? I think he was just there, and he did like that little dance. Dun, 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 dun. I don't know that he actually sang. We'll find out. We'll find out tonight. It is every WrestleMania live performance. We're going to watch it right after the show. Bret Hart was on Sky News, and God, I hope he bitched about Goldberg. I can't wait to find out if he bitched about Goldberg or not. Tomorrow is the deadline to file your taxes. I'm going to let you know what you need to do if you need extra time. But hopefully I'm going to save you guys some trouble if you haven't filed your taxes yet. It's actually a pretty easy process. Usually takes about 15, 20 minutes for me to do mine, and mine are more complex than most people's. If you've got like a W2, right? W2, W9. W2, that's an employee. It's been a long time since I got one. I'm sorry. Don't look at me funny. I get a W9. That's for when you're a contractor for a company. We got some white coats coming out to speak at the Bernie, Idaho rally.
It's Dr. Penny Beach, and I'm speaking representing myself as a family doctor working at a federally qualified health center, or
I file a 1090. I get W9s from companies. Their audio is really, really low.
What's an FQHC, you might ask? It's a partially...
I might ask if I could hear what you just said.
...that cares for people who have been forgotten by our healthcare system. These are working Idahoans...
This is Dr. Penny Beach, the Idaho Community Health Center doctor.
...or perhaps a single parent who lost their job and is looking...
I wish I could tell you what they were saying, but, like, their audio very low. Let me pull up the meme for you. A man was arrested with a van full of pot. 800 pounds, apparently. I'm going to tell you about the antitrust lawsuit against Meta that started today. I'm going to do my best to call him by his actual name, and I've already forgot it. I'm going to do my best not to call him President Bukkake. I swear I'm going to do my best not to call him President Bukkake. I can't remember what the fuck it is now. Bukele. President Bukele. Phew. Gonna do my best to not call him President Bukkake, but it's probably gonna happen. Stephen Miller got into it with reporters after the press conference with President Bukkake, and he already did it. A Palestinian student was kidnapped from Columbia University as they are continuing to deport people who are here legally. This kid was apparently going to his immigration hearing as he was trying to get his legal citizenship. Harvard coming out today and saying they will not comply with Donald Trump's pressure. Apparently, some protests erupted at a Democratic town hall in Arizona. The man who firebombed Josh Shapiro's governor mansion in Pennsylvania is apparently a wild one. They took him to court earlier today. He's like sticking out his tongue, making faces at us. Looking forward to watching that one. A stabbing at a Texas funeral home leads to the discovery of 10 decaying corpses. Katy Perry, Gayle King, and others went into space. It's not really space. They went in like the top part of the atmosphere. They did not go into space. And we're gonna mock them for that, but then something funny happened to Jeff Bezos after he got out of the space capsule. All that and a lot freaking more tonight on the Troll Patrol live. Good evening. Welcome. Bukele. I was still saying it wrong because I was calling him Bukele. Bukele. Let's talk about President Bukkake. God damn it. He was at the White House earlier today. He and Trump fielded questions from reporters. Notice how the people that have come and visit, other than Keir Starmer, I don't think we've had someone come visit from a democratic country, have we? It's been like all dictators and madmen. And I am including Netanyahu in that. Fuck you. Sorry, Flash. Light one up, tip one back.
Thank you, President. Do you plan to ask President Bukele to help return the man who your administration says was mistakenly deported? The man who was mistakenly deported to El Salvador?
Well, let me ask Pam, would you answer that question?
Sure, President. First and foremost, he was illegally in our country. He had been illegally in our country.
I shouldn't have to do this and fact check as we go along because it's going to be really hard. He was here legally.
And in 2019, two courts, an immigration court and an appellate immigration court, ruled that he was a member of MS-13.
No, they did not. 100% the opposite.
He was illegally in our country. Right now, it was additional paperwork had needed to be done. That's up to El Salvador.
Wrong.
If they want to.
They violated a direct court order to not touch the man.
Return him. That's not up to us. The Supreme Court ruled, President, that if
he was legally in this country,
to return him,
Mystical, you are wrong.
Matters, foreign affairs. If they wanted to return him, we would facilitate it, meaning provide a plane.
So will you return him, President
And
Bukele?
you are doing a great job.
Thank
you.
I'm not wrong. He is here legally. Was here legally. Look it the fuck up. Don't come in here and tell me I'm wrong about something that is very easily ascertainable. You dumb fuck.
Wait a minute. Can you just also respond to that question? Because, it's asked by CNN, and they always ask it with a slant because they're totally slanted.
Samson, welcome in.
That's why nobody's watching them. But would you answer that question also, please?
Yes, gladly. So, as Pam mentioned, there's an illegal alien from El Salvador. So, with respect to you, he's a citizen of El Salvador.
Avalon.
It's very arrogant, even, for American media to suggest that we would even tell El Salvador how to handle their own citizens as a starting point.
Wow.
As two immigration courts found that he was a member of MS-13.
No, they didn't.
President Trump declared MS-13 to be a foreign terrorist organization. That meant that he was no longer eligible under federal law, which I'm sure you know, you're very familiar with the INA, that he was no longer eligible for any form of immigration relief in the United States. So we had a deportation order that was valid, which meant that under our law, he's not even allowed to be present in the United States and had to be returned because of the foreign terrorist designation. This issue was then, by a district court judge, completely inverted, and a district court judge tried to tell the administration...
No. You are lying. You're completely inverting the facts that the district court judge said.
...that they had to kidnap a citizen of El Salvador and fly him back here. That issue was raised to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said the district court order was unlawful, and its main components were reversed 9-0 unanimously, stating clearly...
Said that you need to return the motherfucker is what the Supreme Court said. Like, my God.
That neither Secretary of State nor the President could be compelled by anybody to forcibly retrieve a citizen of El Salvador from El Salvador, who again is a member of MS-13, which, as I'm sure you understand, rapes little girls, murders women, murders children, is engaged in the most barbaric activities in the world, and I can promise you, if he was your neighbor, you would move right away.
So you don't plan to ask...
That man right there rapes little girls. My God.
Supreme Court's asking to...
And what was the ruling in the Supreme Court, Steve? Was it 9-0?
Yes, it was a 9-0
in our favor.
That you need to return him.
Ruling saying that no district court has the power to compel the foreign policy function of the United States. As Pam said, the ruling solely stated that if this individual at El Salvador's sole discretion was sent back to our country, that we could deport him a second time.
Well,
no version of this legally ends up with him ever living here because he is a citizen of El Salvador. That is the president of El Salvador, Your questions.
He's married to an American citizen.
I asked
¿Usted lo
President
liberaría,
Bukele, what
Presidente
is your, can President Bukele weigh in on this? Do you plan to return him?
Well, I'm suppose you're not suggesting that I smuggle a terrorist into the United States, right?
It's always
how can I smuggle? How can I return him to the United States? Like I smuggle him into the United States, or what do I do? Of course, I'm not going to do it. It's like, I mean,
Smuggle him?
It's preposterous. How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States? I don't have the power to return him to the United States.
So you can release him inside El Salvador?
Yeah, but I'm not releasing, I mean, we're not very fond of releasing terrorists into our country. I mean, we just turned the murder capital of the world into the safest country of the Western Hemisphere, and you want us to go back into the releasing criminals so we can go back to being the murder capital of the world? No, that's not going to happen.
Well, they'd love to have a criminal, released into our country.
I mean, there's a fascination.
They would love it.
Yeah.
They're sick. These are sick people.
Literal criminal.
Yeah, I mean, Stephen outlined it.
Convicted criminal right here.
Individual is a citizen of El Salvador. He was illegally in the United States and was returned to his country. That's where you deport people, back to their country of origin. Except for Venezuela, that wasn't refusing to take people back, or places like that. I can tell you this, Mr. President. No, the foreign policy of the United States is conducted by the President of the United States, not by a court. And no court in the United States has a right to conduct the foreign policy of the United States.
They're not conducting foreign policy. They're deciding what is and isn't legal, which is literally their job according to the Constitution.
That's simple.
That's simple.
And that's what the Supreme Court held, by the way, to Marco's point. The Supreme Court said exactly what Marco said, that no court has the authority to compel the foreign policy function of the United States. We won a case 9-0, and people like CNN are portraying it as a loss, as usual, because they want foreign terrorists in the country who kidnap women.
Wow.
But President Trump, his policy is foreign terrorists that are here illegally get expelled from the country, which, by the way, is a 90-10 issue.
Well, Mr. President, you said that if the Supreme Court said someone needed to be returned, that you would abide by that. You said that on Air Force One just a few days ago, and they said that it must be facilitated.
Why don't you just say, isn't it wonderful that we're keeping criminals out of our country? Why can't you just say that? Why do you go over and over? And that's why nobody watches you anymore. You have no credibility. Please, go ahead.
President Trump.
This guy talking about people having credibility. My God. But the most interesting thing was what he said to the president of El Salvador as he was walking in for that meeting. This is the most chilling thing.
Demanded the people wanted to change over, and they wanted to. He demanded, they love you, they love what you do. I'm not your supporter. I want him to do, homegrown criminals next. Yeah. I said, homegrowns are next. The homegrowns built. You got to build about 5 more places. Yeah, that's fair. All right. Yeah.
He said the homegrowns are next, meaning he's coming after U.S. citizen. And Flash is right. These hot mic moments like this, these are intentional. This was 100% supposed to leak.
They love what you do. I'm not your supporter. I want him to do, homegrown criminals next. Yeah. I said, homegrowns are next. The homegrowns built. You got to build about 5 more places. Yeah, that's fair. All right.
It's not big enough.
No, yeah.
Come on. So this is a much different.
He said he wanted them to build 5 more prisons because the one isn't big enough, because they're going to start shipping homegrown criminals to El Salvador. This man is going to label anybody who is a dissident a criminal and ship them to El Salvador. So I guess I should go ahead and keep my bags packed, right? Am I going to El Salvador at some point in time? Stephen Miller had an exchange with reporters after that meeting in the White House. That's a lot of Democrats to move, isn't it, Warlord?
Hey, I'm good, thank you. Good morning, everybody. Who wants to go first?
I'll ask, do you plan on ramping up or does the administration plan on ramping up deportations to El Salvador? And how many people do you want El Salvador to take from the United States?
Well, as an example, there are thousands of either trained Nicaragua members left in this country or their affiliates and associates. So obviously some portion of those will be going to El Salvador as part of our effort to eradicate this foreign...
Why is everybody's audio so low tonight? It's killing me.
...terrorist organization from the United States. But there's no upper limit to the agreement. We're going to continue to send foreign terrorist aliens to El Salvador as well as to many other countries. I think you were first, I think.
Is the president asking President Bukele today to send Mr. Abrego Garcia back to the U.S.?
Well, again, to be very clear about this, the Supreme Court ruled...
My lord, welcome in.
The district court cannot, obviously, compel us to conduct diplomacy or foreign policy with another nation. So they overturned the district court order.
Yeah, I hope Garcia Abrego, that's his name, right? I hope he's Armando Abrego Garcia. I had it backwards. I hope he's still alive. Oh shit! Oh shit! My lord, redeemed for the first time. Police chase. Let's do it. And I'm all about it. Woo woo! Stop everything. We're doing a police chase. Let's see what we got here. We have a kidnapping suspect and looking like a Lexus. Fuck it, that's not it. That's Stephen Miller again. We don't want Stephen Miller. Georgie!
Where we find ourselves now here making our way through Riverside. Now, the want on this originally was vehicle code violation.
What do you guys think? Is that a Lexus?
No, police, airship overhead. I do believe there may be other things that this person is wanted for, but I'm working to confirm on the details of that right now. But for now, I can go at least with what I have officially confirmed, which is vehicle code violations. It's that car there that you see there in the center of the screen. It's a silver sedan with a sunroof.
It looks like it could be a Jaguar.
But,
a
again,
Jaguar.
police pursue making
When they zoomed in on the
15 freeway coming up to MLK.
Yeah, you thought it looked like a Jag too? When they zoomed in on the hood, that's kind of what I thought it was.
Yeah, it's been a fast mover here, in and out of traffic. Yeah, it looks like
I think it's a Jag.
Jaguar. That's what my pilot Sarah was.
She thinks it's a Jag too.
Me as well. Male driver, and I believe he might have a passenger, is what we're hearing as well. But unknown.
He's over on the
passenger is a victim or a person who's
He's on the shoulder.
willful participant in this pursuit. So still
Minty.
what the other one.
Jaguar is the one that did the weird
violation. We've got
the weird marketing campaign that really triggered the right wingers, wasn't it?
It's been joined by another airship here from a neighboring county as well. I believe it's going to be the
We're outside of Riverside.
It is assisting with the pursuit now as well, but continuing to make its way here on the 215 freeway coming up to Central Avenue in Riverside.
I think it was Holiday asked me the other. It was like, "Do you have a playlist of police chases?" Yes, yes, I do.
This guy has been in and out of traffic, so they're really.
So I was telling Curiouser the other day. I was like, YouTube lets me know when there's a police chase.
Overhead, we were able to find the units. I saw at least.
She's like, "How do you know when they're live?" I'm like, "It pops up for me."
But because he was driving.
Because YouTube knows I'll watch it.
He was easy to.
I've trained my algorithm. She also asked me. She's like, "Do you use a separate YouTube?" I'm like, "No, it's all my own YouTube."
A bright blue shirt. And again, at this point, we do believe that there may be a passenger, but still working on confirming what that person's.
So if you were to go to my front page, it's like video essays I would watch, some cooking shit, wrestling stuff, and then a whole bunch of news and police chases.
Go ahead, Colleen. Say that again. Unknown if he's armed.
It does and it doesn't, though, Flash, because I don't think the algorithm is programmed to serve you up what you would like the most.
Confirming if the person is actually a kidnapping victim.
I have to go to Majority Report's page.
And all of this.
I watch it every single day, and YouTube doesn't just give it to me. I have to go to their page. So explain that one.
That person or gender, or how long it is that they've been in the vehicle with this person.
To an extent, Flash. Yeah, because it's left wing.
It takes us about 45 minutes to get out here, and it's still going on. But now on the freeway here, southbound 215 freeway at the 60.
I get the clips recommended to me every now and again.
It changes things, Michael.
But yeah, like
they're not going to do something like a pit maneuver because they don't want that other person to get hurt. And in most circumstances, that's at least how they were treated.
Oh, I mean, I love it. I totally.
Going to try to be as careful as.
Wick got on Tim Pool? No way.
Because you don't know if that person is going.
What was that like?
By that.
Because Wick isn't interesting in any way.
Possibly a kidnapping victim. Unknown what their relationship is. If this is some sort of domestic issue or if this is a father and child, that is unknown to us at this time. Just very preliminary information. But again, it started.
It was painful. I bet. There's a reason why Wick's show is mainly him having other people on.
Kidnapping victim and all of this.
I've been on a panel. I don't really watch anybody else sports cards, but I'm friends with all of them. You know, I follow everybody on Twitch.
Yeah, so widening out of here.
I dunk on Wick a lot. I made a meme about him the other day.
Now that we're in a little less traffic, and those units are behind him now, I see at least 3 marked units here behind this vehicle, continuing to make its way southbound on the 215 freeway here, coming through Riverside, where we're coming up to March Air Force Base. So I see that out the left side of the helicopter here. This stretch of the freeway is wide open for now, but I am seeing that as you approach March Air Force Base, the traffic really.
I'm going to be on Globus on Friday, guys.
We know he's not afraid to use
7 p.m. Eastern.
Emergency lane if he has to get back to get by some of that slower moving traffic. But for now, he's smooth sailing, but that traffic is coming up here very soon.
Yeah, so no music requests, no. It's also WrestleMania weekend. My buddy is probably going to be here at some point in time on Friday evening. So yeah, I'm going to be on with Globus at like 7 p.m. Eastern.
But we haven't really had a chance to look through that front windshield. But again, what we were hearing is that there are at least 2 occupants in the car. And look at him driving here now.
I fucking love Globus.
This is exactly what I was worried about because of that slow.
Very much looking forward to it. Also,
possibility. He's not afraid to drive on surface streets. He was on surface
while we're plugging stuff.
So far, before jumping on this 215 freeway, just as we came overhead. But
this Sunday, April 20th.
I never like it when they do that because I just think about somebody with a flat tire.
Troll Patrol pleads the 5th anniversary spectacular.
This guy coming at you at freeway speeds. Can they stop?
April 20th.
But you never know.
Noon Eastern will be coming on Sunday.
South at Van Buren.
That would have been funny if I'd used him, wouldn't it, Flash? We had the pre-trial conference. Were you here for that? That was about a month ago. We got a whole bunch of new video and shit. We watched it.
Yeah.
Well, Lord, I'm trying to make it until my buddy gets here, and I'm going to take him.
Information back on this person.
But yeah, I think the next court date's set for June, July, something like that. Flash. I think they're shooting for maybe a trial by the fall, winter.
Then they'll be able to run the plates, get the registration information, and they can kind of figure out who may be driving. I am hearing it on the scanner.
Keeps going off the road.
Talking about it. They did say.
Yeah, he's been to a dispensary before.
And then, somehow
he went with me, and we went to like a little
a possible victim in all of this, a possible kidnapping.
It was like a little grocery store.
Their relationship is
like a co-op place. It was really neat. and they had,
but
you know, weed to sell.
when we could see the driver, he does.
But this time I'm going to take him to, like, you know,
wearing a bright blue shirt that is
the Apple store of weed.
To get past some slower moving traffic on the
I'm very much looking forward to taking him.
right by the base.
And I'm trying to stretch my supply out and make it till he gets here, but I don't know if I can. No, it's a little locally run place. We have a rise.
One thing
But it's medical only.
Considering is safety. So the safety of the general public, obviously the safety of the people inside of the vehicle, the safety of the officers. So if this gets to a point where it's no longer safe for them to continue to chase this guy.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Like they probably will have cells for. Because my place always has cells.
And in hopes that perhaps the driver will think he's no longer in a pursuit and will simply pull over, pull into a parking structure, go home.
Like I haven't gone. It's not been like.
Obviously,
I haven't gone in the last month, and it hasn't been like 10% off.
And this isn't the carpool lane.
And then also I'm in their rewards program.
The center divider.
And they just throw us. They fucking throw us pre-rolls because you know we're in there all the time. They know Curiouser and I.
It's about 80 miles an hour here, southbound on the 215 freeway. Coming up.
Because it's the same people that work there. So they're just always throwing us pre-rolls.
From our home base at Whiteman Airport, and this pursuit has been going on now.
So fucking appreciate that.
We know at least 1 hour.
They gave us one this time. I don't like. She had asked me if I wanted to cash in my points for pre-roll, and Curiouser was like, pre-roll, and I was like, I'll let it roll over. And I don't know if she ended up like, because like the thing went away on the screen.
215 and the 210
I
freeway.
was like, I'll let it roll over because like I want to get like 20-30% off, and I'll buy like an ounce.
I'd say at least 30 to 40 minutes, just kind of circling, going in the neighborhood.
So I don't know if that pre-roll they gave us was just a freebie they threw at us, because they do that.
Area that he's familiar with, but then at some
or if she had put a pre-roll on my ticket.
On the freeways, and that's essentially where we picked him up when we got overhead. Was right when he had gotten on the freeway. So he was southbound 215.
But they give you a pre-roll for signing up for the rewards program. They give you a pre-roll for going and reviewing them on Google.
So dangerous to the point where they can't follow.
I'm not getting a zip for 100.
It's going to be up to those.
That's closer to
continue to follow this
black market prices.
But for now,
like that's what they're selling for on the black market now to try. Probably like 120, 130. I think that's what I was paying for my dude. But at the weed store, it's
something that they
probably about
starting to talk about, and I'm going to push in on the lead unit here. So
I think it's 80 a quarter or 75 a quarter, something like that.
Since they were the original agency, but CHP is being advised.
I do know that the top shelf, the head stash is what they call it.
Saying because this is on the
it was $2.50 an ounce.
Be best.
Lenny, welcome in. Libertad, I tell you good evening.
They are the police of our freeways here in California, so.
And I have no clue how you do it.
A little bit.
Like anytime like scat is mentioned, like you're there.
Those radios for those police units.
Like you just pop up. It's like you're summoned.
Stop work.
And I love that about you.
Quite some time, they can start running out of fuel. But if you have these fresh CHP units,
and that's you on Facebook too. I post a meme that has something to do with scat,
with each other.
And that's you commenting, isn't it?
Down whatever freeway, they really will be the best suited to follow this police pursuit. For now, continue.
Lenny, I wish I could catch you so much more than what I do.
15 freeway coming up to the Ramona Expressway here.
As Curiouser was like messaging me at like 1:30 today, I was still in bed. So that should explain to you why I never catch your stream. I was up until like 6 a.m. this morning.
The options are spike strips, so that's one thing we haven't talked about.
Well, you know, I started about midnight 30, 1 o'clock.
What way is this guy going?
I started feeling kind of tired. I was like, you know what? I should lay down, try to get my sleep schedule back right.
He's been on it for quite some time, so it might be a situation where CHP could get up ahead and lay down some spike strips. They do have their favorite locations where they.
The cats will wake me up if the bowls aren't filled.
At this point, because just.
But mostly they'll lay with me as long as I want to LA, right? They're cats.
It is a situation where perhaps they'll be able to lay some spike strips up ahead, get those those tires to start deflating. Usually it doesn't stop the car immediately, but eventually those tires do get flat. Sometimes they just fall off, and that
West of Boston, yeah, my lord, you were very west of Boston.
just because of the possibility that there could be a victim inside.
I'm south of Boston. Did they deploy the spike strips? I saw them set up over there. It didn't look like they did. They got a little too much traffic.
Those units that were kind of staging there off to the side, so some of those units can actually swap out with police units that have already been on this.
I'm glad you did this, my lord. I didn't even feel like doing the news.
Low on fuel, for example, or situations why they would swap places. And another thing that we want to mention, as you were just asking, is the traffic. I'm looking up ahead as far as I can see, and at this point, I don't see.
Man, did you see that swimming pool is like right under the overpass?
Really, I want to say.
I wonder if anybody's ever gone up to the overpass and dived into the pool.
Where we get to the 15 merge with the 215 there.
That's a hell of a cannonball.
Then it becomes.
Probably don't want to dive.
215 actually comes to an end. And then once we're past that point, I do see a little bit of slowdown headed north, but not headed south. So if this guy just stays south, then he's not going to really encounter any traffic until he gets all the way to the Mexican border. So hopefully we're not going that far. But he does have.
Go to Mexico.
Freeway up ahead.
Yeah. He's doing about 80, 85. I got him at 90. I would have thought that he was doing faster based on like the other traffic on the road, but maybe everybody's slowing down.
If the victim, for example, does have a cell phone and maybe they were able to shoot off a text.
Looks like he's cruising between 85 and 90. Yeah, I think I've still got one packed. Let's do it, Torchy.
How it is that they know that this person potentially has a victim inside, but at this point,
a victim?
It's still unclear.
Do we have a kidnapping going on?
What the relationship may be. Was this a random?
T-minus, welcome in. Are you making a run for the border? Or are you heading up towards the northern border? Zahn, welcome.
Child. So that part is still unclear to me at this time. But I continue to hear.
There's a police chase outside of Cal. It looks like they're heading for the.
We'll be able to get a little bit more information once I can.
Mexico border is what the helicopter. I did not know that we were that close.
Now in Paris, and again
they're outside of Riverside. Can somebody that knows more about California tell me?
To Murrieta, it becomes the 15, and then from there, smooth sailing as far as we can see all the way down to the Mexican border.
How far is it though? T-minus, can you tell me how far it is to the Mexican border from where he's at? Paris, California. Orb, welcome in. The chase happened about 2 weeks ago. We have a Jaguar.
It's kind of hard to see, but I'm seeing at least what looks like 7 units of law enforcement now behind this vehicle. So that really tells you something. This is clearly.
Apparently, this is a kidnapping suspect that may have a
violation, which is literally a minor
victim in the vehicle. See, okay.
Let somebody go for something like that.
The way she was talking, she like it was like 20 minutes to Mexico.
Want to take into custody again? Possible.
That's what I thought. It was still a couple hours.
And the victim may still be in the car from just the very preliminary information that we're getting on this one. But again, they're going to continue to follow this guy. They can try some spike strips. They're not going to try anything too dramatic, especially if that victim.
Torchy, you ready?
So the car may actually run out.
Anybody else wants to smoke with us?
So that's another option that law enforcement has. And when it does, then you'll have what looks to be about at least half.
Light one up, tip one back. All right, so about a couple hours for Mexico. But smooth sailing.
The victim is still inside to get that person to safety. still unknown, Colleen.
But now, if you've got the cops chasing you, going to Mexico probably isn't going to help you, right?
Approach the suspect when all things
It's not like you can just drive over the line and the cops stop. You got to go through a fucking militarized border.
Usually when a suspect is armed, they won't do it either, because if they were to pit the car and then it ends up nose to nose with a patrol unit,
exactly,
the life of that officer. So they wouldn't try it in that situation either. So at this point, it's unknown to us if the person is armed, but it does lead you to question, well, how did they get that victim in the car? So it is a possibility. Again, at this point,
it could have been a carjacking. You can drive into Mexico without stopping? The first I'm hearing about it. We don't have a bunch of fucking Border Patrol agents down there?
With their families. I know mothers often will be the first ones to call in these types of situations, and they try to convince their child, their son or daughter, to give up, and sometimes that works, and sometimes that's all the suspect really wants, is just to hear the voice of a family member one more time.
Want to hear their mama.
To surrender. So we see that time and time again. So that is a possibility. Of course, nowadays everybody has a cell phone, so it is very easy to get in touch with this person, and if law enforcement knows who they're dealing with, then a 911 dispatcher can actually call the suspect as well. They can get a crisis negotiator on the phone. They can get a loved one on the phone. So they do have some options if that person is willing to.
Estamos viendo, pero no podemos.
Whoa! Whoa!
They do have some options if that person is.
What was that?
To law enforcement over the phone. Of course, these units are also equipped with. Loudspeakers. They can make announcements. We've got the helicopters overhead that can also make announcements when the vehicle comes to a stop.
Ileana,
go ahead, Colleen.
I don't mean to interrupt, but what were those two cars on the shoulder of the road there? Were those officers in unmarked cars, or were those people just broken down?
We flipped over to Telemundo there for a second.
A good look at them, Colleen. But
this is Max Headroom.
That there were
no need for alarm.
That were staging there on the sides of the freeway, ready to begin the pursuit. But I think some people are just pulling over. I just saw that one truck, that silver truck, pull over. So that's exactly what you want to do, actually, in these types of situations. If you see a police,
I want to root them on.
The best thing you can
run with them.
Is to, when it's safe to do so, move over to the right, let the pursuit go by, and then join the freeway yet again when it is safe. A lot of times, unfortunately, we see situations where people try to be heroes. They think they're going to help law enforcement. They think they're going to help box the guy in or help him slow down. That is not what you want to do, especially in a situation where you don't know if this person is potentially armed.
Because they're chuds, Flash. They're total chuds.
Of the officers in danger as well.
My uncle drives a semi, or used to. I don't know anymore.
News chart before.
He ain't talked to me in 10 years.
Southbound, this car we have been tracking.
He had enough of my liberal bullshit long before Trump came along.
We see a number of units behind, and Colleen, as you mentioned, and I'll mention it again, the tactics.
It would be kind of fun, yeah.
The proximity seems to be a lot closer than it was before. So again, makes you wonder, as Eliana mentioned, this more than just a code violation on the vehicle. There's perhaps something more serious going on here, with preliminary reports that there might be a kidnapping victim in the car with the suspect.
All right, as we continue to watch this, as you point out, Michael, the 215 coming up on Menifee, then we go through Temecula.
Temecula.
Thinned out here. And I really want to ask Ileana, when we get an opportunity to, about the spike strips. Obviously, at this speed,
I can't imagine being a trucker now.
We wouldn't
you don't
necessarily
get to do drugs or anything.
a pit maneuver, but we have with us someone.
My dad was a trucker in the 80s.
Bill, are you with us?
I'm here, Colleen.
He is partying all the time.
Last name? You are a retired CHP officer?
Retired Sergeant Bill Preciado here, Colleen.
Oh, okay. Know the name?
Oh my God, I just had a cat lay on my fucking mouse.
Spike strips.
Bobby.
How do you do this on a freeway when you've got other traffic?
Well, I think Ilana referred to that earlier, is sometimes a lot of areas have their strategic locations where they want to deploy the spike strips. On the freeway, it would be optimal because it's one direction, but it's got to be specific, and the safety for the officers, there has to be surrounding cover because that spike strip does deploy across 1.5 lanes, and they have to just time it accordingly and coordinate with the units. As of right now, I believe San Bernardino PD is still the leading units here I don't see CHP getting involved, although I've seen them on the show.
You guys too regulated.
The normal protocol. They
like do things on my own,
once
time.
Takes over, they can more easily coordinate when a spike strip, if they decide to use that, to be deployed.
Wouldn't a spike strip automatically be deployed whether they were the lead or not, just in assisting and aiding with the chase?
You would think so, but coordinate the communication, like Eliana alluded to earlier. Sometimes the municipalities, their radio frequencies do not transmit.
This cat.
They get outside of their jurisdiction, and thus makes it harder for the communication to take place between either the allied agencies or their own dispatch center. So it's optimal that the agency...
See, they don't drug test in my field because they wouldn't have any workers.
...efficiently with the ground units that are going to deploy that spike strip.
Bill, as you look at this right now and you see the units behind, you know you've got air units, you see you've got wide open freeway. What's the best course of action?
Well,
wide open spaces.
Very, very light traffic. They're heading southbound. It hopefully continues in this manner.
Weed is one of those, like, I totally believe that you should be charged with DUI for driving on it. I'm a special case. Not everybody is a better driver when they're high on weed. There's state-dependent learning that goes into it. There's the fact that I'm, like, super hyperactive, so I'm probably way more dangerous when I'm sober driving than when I am when I'm on weed. But as a rule of thumb, I think most people should not be smoking and driving.
Preliminary reports here.
That's also true.
Possibly.
That is also true towards you. That
how does that change?
You're gonna test positive.
How this is handled.
A month is someone who smokes
changes the whole dynamic because
every now and again.
Victim that may be within the vehicle. So
if you smoke regularly, you need to allow at least 3 months, and you need to be proactive about getting it out of your system.
I think you mentioned throughout the...
i.e. do something to sweat, drink lots of fluids.
Violence issue, we don't know quite yet at this point, but that's one of the things that the responding...
That's what I'm saying, at least 3 months.
At the forethought while they're making the decisions. And there's always going to be a sergeant making the calls, whether to continue or back off or coordinate the ground units.
Or find a clean piss source.
Their own units to coordinate in the event.
Here he is, sir. My lord cut off the news.
He's in Murrieta right
Redeemed police chase. So we're doing a police chase right now. This one happened about 2 weeks ago. This is a Jaguar.
65 to 75.
Heading south towards Mexico.
Temecula coming up, then San Diego County. What happens then?
Well, the benefit with the CHP is that we've got divisions. Actually, CHP's got divisions throughout the state. There's 8 divisions. So this
piss came back positive for pregnancy.
Goes all the way to the Mexican border. So they are coordinated. At some point, if it gets...
My mom got my grandfather to piss for my dad one time, and he didn't know he was on a narcotic.
It gets to that point.
Like it was something stupid that shouldn't have been classified as a narcotic, but was a narcotic.
Across the border.
And my dad failed.
Just with the units on the other side of the border. But right now, I would say at some point they're going to have to turn it over to the CHP if this is still San Bernardino PD in the pursuit. At some point,
there's a famous episode of Seinfeld
on radio communication issues.
I was just going to ask you that on the topic of...
My dad was a wild one.
Surprised they haven't done the handoff already?
You know what? We leave it up to...
The only time I had a good relationship with him was when, we were drug buddies.
Initiated in the San Bernardino area, so they've got the call on...
It's sad, but it is what it is.
Why it hasn't been done up to this point, because we are quite a bit away from the San Bernardino County line. So at some point, the sergeant or the agency is going to have to make the call.
I am so much like my dad, it's not even funny. I'm just self-aware enough to not have kids.
Over the body to the initiating agency just for uniformity and filing purposes for the court jurisdiction.
Michael, good evening.
Bill, as we look at...
I agree with that. Here.
Before here, I can't help but notice we're passing through some residential areas. Would it be normal for police in that jurisdiction or any kind of law enforcement to...
Like Gerister says it was a good call in the police chase, but if I went ahead and got through with the news, we've been
all the allied agencies
that much faster getting to Live Music Monday.
All municipalities, as the pursuits are going into it, for this very same reason, so they can coordinate either holding the traffic getting onto the freeway southbound or just...
What some Whose Line Is It Anyway after the show last night?
Assistance on the surface streets.
Bill, talk about the benefits at this point. CHP, San Bernardino Police, they have what on their side at least right
Clovis.
Well,
Whoop, whoop. That's the sound of the police.
Very light. The speeds are.
We are doing the best of WrestleMania live performances.
80 miles an hour.
Like WWE put that up. I'm like, ooh, this is perfect.
The driver's not driving erratically, using all lanes or.
Different artists that have performed at WrestleMania.
Traffic was a little more congested, and that is of concern.
Some of them have played wrestlers out to the ring.
I think the wait and see tactic is probably going to be the most beneficial for the responding.
Going to be on with Globus Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern.
Things, either a spike strip up ahead where it's pre-coordinated, or
we're going to have some fun.
Does and we've seen this case in other pursuits where they run out of gas and start slowing down. So that may be one of the things that...
the traffic is a lot lighter as I guess they've gotten away from the L.A. area.
He's been driving for quite a while. We believe the make and model on this is an older model Jaguar. How long could something like this go without having issues with fuel?
Yeah, that's one of the things that we all take into consideration as well. But as we know, these vehicles can go quite a distance. We don't know where this individual started, whether it was a full tank or half a tank or quarter tank left. But the officers do maintain visual contact with these vehicles.
He probably gets, what, 24, 25 to the gallon?
Vehicles aren't used to driving at such a high...
Looking at like a late 90s model Jaguar, probably?
Whereas the patrol vehicles...
Jaguar, maybe an early 2000s?
And they're outfitted so that they can endure high-speed chases for extended periods of time. So in this case, it's just a visual observation on that primary unit, which is the first one. The second one's usually going to be calling out the location. The first one's job is just to maintain visual contact and maintain close proximity without...
Well, doesn't that vary T-minus? Because, like, don't compact cars have, like, 12, 14-gallon tanks, and, like, bigger cars have, like, 16, 18-gallon tanks?
Two-lane road to get to that, to the 15. Again, tactics remain the same. What you're seeing here with San Bernardino Police in terms
something
of
to that effect
driver seems adequate at this point based on the circumstances?
Yes, definitely. That's within a safe distance. Each agency has their policies and procedures. In this case, if those are all San Bernardino PD officers, there's, I believe, 3 or 5 that we just saw on the camera. But that would be normal protocol for most agencies to continue pursuing at a safe distance with air unit support above, which I believe...
That is a really fun fact, Torgy.
CHP or the local sheriff department may be assisting with an air operation.
Bill, we understand the driver is a male, and he may have a passenger. I'm not sure how we've...
I like Jaguars.
There may be a passenger who's in a car being held against their will. How does that change the nature of what you do?
Of the high-end cars, Jaguar are probably my favorite.
The tactics that they can use, such as a pit maneuver, is probably not going to
like a Mercedes
at this point because of the innocent person or quote-unquote innocent person that's in there.
Once again, I've never driven any of these cars in real life.
Tools that
only on Gran Turismo.
Possibly use. And then some agencies don't teach pit maneuvers, so that's another option as well. I don't know if San Bernardino is open to using a pit maneuver. I know the CHP does, and we've seen it in past pursuits. So that's at the forefront is the safety of the individual. And, of course, this is all second information coming from it went to the dispatch center, and it gets out to the unit that it could be a possible kidnapping since there's 2 people in there. So
they head for Mexico.
We're going to have to take that into consideration, even in the event that it comes to a standoff situation where...
Sat in a Bentley once. I don't even think I've ever driven one on Gran Turismo. I don't think they're on...
time until... It is
GT
clarified.
They look super cool.
Put those people in handcuffs until it's determined completely what exactly was going on.
All right.
If you're just joining us,
Preciado, thanks so much for your expertise on this. As we mentioned, he's in Temecula right now.
Chat redeemed the points to watch a police chase. So this is a police chase for about 2 weeks ago.
Living in LA County is about
oh no!
Los policías o de las
there we go. Yes, take us back to Telemundo.
Estén allí en esa área. Estamos viendo que baja un poco la velocidad, va a 57 millas por hora. Hace algunos instantes veíamos cómo iba a 117 millas por hora, pero estaremos muy atentos de lo que ocurre.
I do not speak Spanish, which is wild because I took Spanish for a couple of years. Took French for a couple of years. Speak some French for us, Justin. I can't. Je m'appelle Freak Daddy. Oh, do we not get the conclusion? Let's find out what happened. Oh, no. What? We're back.
You can turn around.
What in the hell?
We can go home.
You can go home? No, we haven't found out what happened yet.
And for those of you watching us online, we of course thank you for your viewership. I hate to have to leave it like this without us knowing the final termination here, but we're going to continue to keep tabs on this one and make calls to our friends down in San Diego. The pursuit is headed their way. We're just at the 15 freeway at Temecula Parkway. You see all of the units here in pursuit, still very active in pursuit behind this guy, but we've come to a situation where we are experiencing some low clouds here, so we are going to be U-turning back to base. We of course are going to have an update for you on this pursuit.
I'm trying to find it.
Newscast. We have a newscast coming up at 7 and one at 11, so we hope to be able to have an update for you then, and of course always on NBCLA.com and all of our streaming platforms. Once again, from News Chopper 4, I'm Eliana Moreno alongside my pilot Thur Garbetian. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you soon.
Boo! We need resolution. Good thing I have it for you. Began in San Bernardino, ended in San Diego County. So they made it all the way down to San Diego County.
On that police chase that stretched across Southern California earlier this evening. It all started in San Bernardino and ended with a crash in Escondido.
Crash!
A new video that shows the driver being put in handcuffs. His passenger treated by paramedics after the crash. Another innocent driver was checked out at the scene. Riverside PD started the chase just before 5. There was no kidnapping, as earlier reports suggested, but police say the driver is a wanted felon and is now facing several charges for all this.
Well, who was the person that was with him? Were they a victim? What bandana color you want?
The only way that we do
This is live in Idaho. I have black and white. I have every color.
So if you are willing to fight for someone you don't know, you are welcome here. If you are willing to fight for working people regardless of who they
That
are,
is Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez speaking, I do believe.
welcome here, because here everyone is valued.
Carla, welcome in.
To stand together, Idaho. We cannot be tempted to turn in our neighbors or be fooled into thinking that that we are really that much different than a trans kid who just wants to be accepted by the people around him. We can't be tricked into thinking that we're that much different than the dreamer who wants to come here and fulfill this country's promise.
Fucking, this is like their third stop today.
That sinks us all. And it is standing together without exception. Just as you
Oh, I'm sorry. This is not my black one. It's purple. I didn't realize it until I got over here.
only way that we can win. So I hope that you see that this movement is not about partisan labels or purity tests, but it is about class solidarity. The thousands of you who came out here today to stand here together and say our lives deserve dignity and our work deserves respect.
Once again, this is live in Idaho currently.
So we are here to make a sacred promise to one another. Our goal here today is to commit to building the kind of country that we all...
As I said, this is like their third stop today. They were in Utah. Is that where this clip? This was in Salt Lake City, Utah. They are drawing huge crowds. Salt Lake City, Utah.
Alexandria mentioned a moment ago that we were in LA yesterday. We had
That's the beauty of what Bernie is going to, like all the red areas. Like he is predominantly stopping in places that Trump won. He's taking it right to them.
36,000 people out. But in many ways, the 20,000 we have out today is more impressive.
Yeah, his rally in L.A., largest rally he has held ever. That's insane.
And we're here in so-called
Rusty, welcome in.
conservative Utah, and tomorrow
I think he's running.
in Idaho. Because we believe that in every state of this country, people are prepared.
Yeah, they weren't in Boise, Minty. That was, do I still have it up? Yeah. This is Nampa, Idaho. They are in Nampa, Idaho.
Now, I want to say a word about my daughter. No. I want to say a word about Alexandria and why what she's doing is so important. And here's the story.
She is crushing Chuck Schumer in the polls for Senate.
6 years ago, 6 years ago, what were you doing for a living? She was a waitress. But she looked around her and she saw a
Rusty, I don't think he gives a shit. I think he'll run as an independent this time. If he has to.
Ugly to the people in the community in which she lived in New York City. She stood up and took on one of the most powerful people in the House of Representatives. And she started with almost no money against the guy who had unlimited funds, and she beat him. Okay. Now, why do I tell you that story? It's not just to talk about Alexandria. The point that I am making is that in this arena of 15,000 people, there are hundreds of Alexandrias. There are hundreds of Alexes and Joes and Marys and Cynthias. And all across this country, we are going to need people to go outside of their comfort zone. Because the establishment, man, they are smart. They are so smart. And one of the smartest things they do, one of the most effective things they do, is to say to all of you and working people all over America, hey, we got the money, we got the power, we own it all, you ain't nothing you're gonna do about it. And a lot of people sit back and they say, what am I going to do? Can't do nothing. All right? My boss is going to fire me, this, that, and the other thing. And that is the mindset we have got to break through.
Oh, this is from yesterday's rally. Oh, that was earlier today. I'm sorry. I misspoke. But I do believe they had other stops today.
But it's not AOC and it's not Bernie. It is you. You don't need leaders. We need a mass movement of millions of people.
Damn right.
Now, the reason
She's running for Senate, DJ Dub.
running around the country is because, as all of you know, and she so eloquently stated, we are living in...
It's not AOC drawing these numbers, it's Bernie.
In the modern history of this country. And I really, especially for the young people, I wish I could not have to tell you that, you know? But it is just simply true.
I mean, he's trying to build up the bench. But you need AOC in the Senate. Let's go back to... Okay, let's check back in with Bernie. He's actually speaking right now. He just walked out.
Of the people. That's why we're here tonight. We want a government of the people, by the people, for the people, not a government of the billionaire class.
You're right, Lenny, but like this is the time when they decide. It's a monumental decision. It takes a hell of a lot of money.
Unbelievable. As we speak, you got the wealthiest.
You decide now.
On earth.
You make the moves now. You announce in 20 months. You decided now.
Media or on the halls of Congress. Mr. Musk himself owns 5 times more wealth than the bottom half of the households in America. One man.
Okay, we're going to talk about some rich people here later on in the show. They did some stupid shit.
DC /
We'll check back in with Bernie here from, am I saying it right? Nampa? Nampa, Idaho. I've never heard of it. We were talking about the president of El Salvador meeting with Trump in the White House earlier today. I understand this, Lenny. I understand how old he is, but also there is nothing that we can tell that's wrong with him. He seems in very good health. He seems like he's in better health than I am. So I'm just... There are days I can't move when I get out of bed. I know it sounds wild. See, he seems in better health than he did in 2020. I didn't want him to run. I know everybody is fighting me on this. I didn't want him to run. I don't think he wanted to run. I don't think he wants to run. I think he feels compelled to. And DJ Dub is not like a only I can fix it kind of thing. It's just like there is a power vacuum. There's nobody there to fill it. There's the next generation to come up in the politics isn't ready yet. AOC needs to be in the Senate. You know, Ilhan Omar might be the governor from Minnesota soon. Who knows? Toxic, welcome in. And I mean, an old socialist dying in office has happened before in the U.S. And he may once again not be in it to actually win it again, but it seems like he is. He may be in it just to force the party to the left because he's seeing like, if I don't step in to that position, they're going to have a primary where they all run to the right to each other. So even if I'm not the nominee, me running in the primary brings the party back over to the left. And you see how popular he is. On this very evening in 1912 that the Titanic saw daylight for the last time. Interesting. I think Gretchen is a good pick. I think she might be who he ends up picking as vice president. This is just me off the top of my head. Also, we don't know like what things will be like in 2 years. I think you would probably pick a woman like that, and probably somebody that signals to the donor class that, oh, I'm not going to disrupt that much. She didn't want to be photographed too, didn't she? I didn't dig into that story, Flash. Apparently she pulled a little Weasley move, like, I don't want to be photographed. Senator Chris Van Hollen from Maryland says that he wants to meet with the president of El Salvador, President Bukaki.
Chris Van Hollen is urgently requesting a meeting with the president of El Salvador this week during his visit to the U.S. to discuss the return of Abrego Garcia, the Maryland resident who was wrongfully deported. Van Hollen says he is prepared to go to El Salvador if Kilmar Abrego Garcia is not returned. Caroline Forback has the latest.
It's been more than a month since
Caroline Bareback has the latest.
Sheet metal apprentice Kilmar Abrego Garcia and deported him to a maximum security prison in El Salvador. The Trump administration has since admitted Abrego Garcia's deportation was an administrative error. The Supreme Court ruled the administration must facilitate his return.
It is absolutely unjust and illegal to have this Marylander
illegal
detained one more day in a notorious prison in El Salvador.
Senator Chris Van Hollen of Maryland requested to meet with Salvadoran President Nayib Bukele while he's in the U.S. this week to discuss Abrego Garcia's return. At a press conference in Greenbelt Monday, Van Hollen said he intends to go to El Salvador himself if Abrego Garcia is not back by midweek.
I understand that the Attorney General said that we would provide a plane to bring him home. So all the president of El Salvador has to do now is hand over and release an innocent man.
However, during the meeting with Trump administration officials Monday, Bukele said he has no intention of sending Abrego Garcia back to the U.S., even though he was never charged or convicted of a crime.
Of course, I'm not going to do it. It's like, the question is preposterous. How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States?
Van Hollen.
That's not preposterous.
An appeal to Bukele.
All of us, as members of the Appropriations Committee, also support whatever foreign assistance budget goes forward. So I believe that the president of El Salvador will reconsider when he understands the full story.
In Greenbelt, Caroline Forback for WJZ.
Fuck, the Trump administration has done it. They got a Romanian prison to hand over Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan. They can do it if they wanted to. They don't want to. I'm interested. I want to see how I saw a normie share this out. This is how this got on my radar. I'm interested to see what happens here when Charlie Kirk faces off against a college student. He's back to doing that kind of shit again.
You want to come up here and talk? Come on up, tough guy. Come on.
Sorry, man. I was just saying that's a Nazi America.
To return people that break into your country back home?
Because like mass deportation really just is like...
Yes, to lie and say that they broke into your country and to dehumanize them and send them extra rendition outside of the country. That's pretty Nazi, bro.
Like cleansing the land.
No, it's not. It's restoring the law.
Yeah, man, but law is not a moral compass.
Yes,
like
it is.
Justice is greater than...
Well, they're not following the law.
Greater than money, greater than God. Justice is the human universe.
Justice is not greater than God. What are you talking about?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
You're tripping, bro.
Hold on. So let me ask you a question. If someone breaks into your country, what should the punishment be?
Loaded question, fallacy.
I'll give you a different question, man.
Well, I just answered. It's very simple. You said we're Nazi America, so tell me.
Well, it's a civil offense, first of all.
What should the punishment be?
I wouldn't say it's breaking in most of the time, dude.
No, it is.
I would say like, I mean, dude, because like...
Seeking asylum is legal.
Countries are economically bad, and they're coming here. Like, they want to come here.
Doesn't
and
matter.
work.
If someone goes and robs a 7-Eleven.
Oh, I would say, Holiday, that there's plenty of people like me on a college campus that would go to these things. You just don't see it because Charlie Kirk doesn't clip those. You see them sometimes when somebody else recorded.
11, you don't get like a lesser penalty if you're broke. What is wrong, regardless of your socioeconomic status.
I get you, man. No, I get you. But
I was assuming, like, even though Charlie Kirk released this on his own, I was going to assume that Charlie still didn't look good in the interaction, and I think I'm right.
Law is not a universal thing.
No, they are. No, that's not correct. We believe, as Christians and in the West, in an axiological truth, which that every human being has written on their heart some form of right or wrong. It is inherently wrong to steal their people's stuff. It's inherently wrong to walk into people's homes uninvited. It's inherently wrong to go after somebody and harass them or whatever. So it's a universal law that you don't get to go places where you aren't invited.
Yeah, he thought that made him look good. I don't think it does. Flash, Matt Walsh once called me formidable voice in the culture.
JustinFREAKIN is a formidable voice in the culture.
Too many people have fought and died to defend democracy. But it is not only domestic policy that we should be concerned with.
You live in sexual anarchy.
For the first time in the 250...
Who thinks I adjusted his face? Did I make it smaller, or is his face just like that? You gotta admit, if I made his face smaller, I'm really good at Photoshop. Where's the line? I made it smaller by only a little, Flash says. Only a little. I'm good at Photoshop. Decent, I would say. But I mean, a lot of the people that we're talking about are in the country 100% legally, like the student who was called in for a citizenship interview and then arrested by ICE. Palestinian student leader was called in for a citizenship interview, then arrested by ICE, a legal green card holder. Columbia University protest leader Moshin Madawi faced attacks from pro-Israeli activists. Moshin K. Madawi arrived at the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services in Colchester, Vermont on Monday. A Palestinian student at Columbia University hoped that after 10 years in the U.S., he would pass the test to become a naturalized citizen. Instead, agents from the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement arrested him and began the process to deport him to the occupied West Bank. Madawi, a leader of the campus protest movement against Israel's war on Gaza, became yet another green card holder arrested and facing removal. Moshin Madawi was unlawfully detained today for no reason other than his Palestinian identity. Madawi's attorney, Lana Druby, said in a statement to The Intercept he came to this country hoping to be free to speak out about the atrocities he had witnessed, only to be punished for such speech. Madawi's lawyer filed a habeas corpus petition on Monday challenging the legality of his detention, alleging the government was violating his statutory and due process rights by punishing him for speech related to Palestine and Israel. The filing said it appears that Madawi was facing deportation under the obscure provision used in other recent cases that gives Secretary of State Marco Rubio the right to unilaterally declare immigrants as threats to American foreign policy. Federal judge signed a temporary restraining order on Monday to keep Madawi from being moved out of Vermont while his case is pending. Badawi was one of the leaders of the pro-Palestine student protest movement until spring of 2024, when he said he took a step back from the movement to focus on building bridges with Jewish and Israeli communities on campus. In December of 2023, Badawi asked Columbia professor Shai Davadeh, a controversial pro-Israel figure at the school, to get coffee. The two met, but Badawi later said that Davadi left in the middle of the coffee. Less than 2 months after the meeting, Davadi posted a video of Badawi to Twitter in a thread characterizing him and other protest organizers as anti-Semitic and pro-Hamas. My God. Shai Davadeh. Thank you, Flash.
And because there's nothing more honorable than dying for a noble cause, for freedom, for humanity, and for justice.
Yeah, what's wrong with him saying about fighting for freedom, humanity, and justice, right? Shai Davadeh says everything is so egregious, I don't even know where to begin, so let's start with this. Here's one of the main organizers riling up the crowd by telling them that there is nothing more honorable than dying for a noble cause. Where have I heard that one before? What? Didn't I hear him say freedom and justice? I just repeated it, didn't I?
And because there's nothing more honorable than dying for a noble cause, for freedom, for humanity, and for justice.
For freedom and humanity and justice. Like, isn't that what they tell soldiers before they send them to war? To kill little brown people? Yeah, he called him a jihadist, I believe. I know this dude. I didn't recognize the name. I do know this dude. Yep. At least we have one university standing up to the administration. One. Harvard says it will not comply with the Trump administration's pressure.
Firing back at Harvard University after the school basically set up a showdown with the Trump administration, rejecting some of the White House's demands on its policies. A White House spokesperson saying, in part, President Trump wants to end unchecked anti-Semitism and that Harvard's response could put its federal funding at risk. But Harvard's president says the university will not surrender its independence and that neither Harvard nor any other private university can allow itself to be taken over by the federal government. The Trump administration had something like 10 demands for Harvard, including the elimination of DEI programs and the restriction of acceptance of international students who are, and I'm quoting here,
How? The motherfuckers that told me that the administration censored the laptop story now think it's perfectly fine for an administration to tell a college how to run its fucking affairs. Are you fucking serious?
hostile to American values and institutions. Stephanie Gosk is joining us now. You couldn't think of a perhaps bigger name in the world of college universities to go basically head to head with the Trump administration on some of these controversial changes that the White House wants. What happens next here?
Well, you know, it's interesting, Hallie. First of all, it's worth pointing out that Harvard receives $9 billion worth of federal funding from the government. And so that's a real hammer that the government has and can hold that above Harvard University, try to get them to make some of these changes. This letter that Harvard received on Friday night is really long, and it has a lot of very specific things that they are calling on the university to do to get this funding. Among them are things like hiring an independent third party to determine whether there's anti-Semitism on campus and in the curriculum. Also to make sure that there's diversity of opinion on campus. And you've heard a bunch of
diversity of opinion,
including the vice president himself, talking about how there is a throughout our universities, a kind of sickness where there is no diversity of opinion. And this is clearly part of an effort to change the way universities operate, and they're holding this funding, which is really how research is done at universities.
Alien.
In part because of this.
Oh, this woman totally coached volleyball.
Of schools and universities around.
She looked like a volleyball coach that was at my school.
Wealthy school. They just are, right? How much of an impact is this going to have on them? Let's say they were to use that federal funding. To your point, Steph, in the world of carrots and sticks, I mean, that's a big one. How much of an impact could this actually have?
Well,
I know couples that look exactly like this.
Is a lot of money. The school very clearly relies on it, and yes, they are an incredibly wealthy school. But if that is removed, that will change how research is done on campus. But interestingly, Harvard taking a stand in a very public way, and not just about itself, also saying that universities and schools around the country should follow their lead. They are calling this a violation of their First Amendment rights.
Yeah, it is.
You're watching. Stay updated about.
Shut up, Lester.
Top stories on the NBC.
It's usually not Lester at the end of MSNBC clips. Lester being on there is a new thing.
Not be able to own himself 5 times more than half of the households in America. What it means.
This is Bernie Sanders currently in Idaho.
Radical idea. It is not a radical idea. We are the richest country in the history.
A huge turnout in Ruby Red, Idaho.
Country. We do not have to have people sleeping out on the street or kids going hungry.
Yeah, I think this is the second or third stop today. We played a clip from the rally in Utah yesterday.
Living on 50.
Held his largest rally ever in L.A. over the weekend. That juxtapose that with this town hall held in Tucson, Arizona, with Senator Mark Kelly and Senator Cory Booker, which apparently was interrupted by protesters.
Go ahead.
Okay. This is kind of repeating what some other people have said, but we go to the Tesla protests and we come to these events. I even went to D.C. for the hands off. It just doesn't seem like enough. I mean, you're pissed, I'm pissed, we're all pissed, and we'd come here and we'd talk, but there doesn't seem to be anything really meaningful that we can do.
Get mushrooms on a shirt.
Well, Mike, thank you especially for going to the Tesla protest. It is very meaningful. When the president and Republicans,
you see Senators Kelly and Booker,
see these protests popping up all over the country, they know that they're heading down the wrong path. And whether it's tariffs or our foreign policy, or cuts to Medicaid and Medicare and threats to Social
I want to like Kelly.
They know.
But he makes it awful hard.
People are not happy about this. The big question is, at what point do they feel it's going to affect their electoral success in the next election? I'm not so sure they're there yet. Now, the president he built a base of support.
Mainly it's goodwill based on the fact that he's married to Gabby Giffords and the woman took a bullet for democracy. To the head. And you gotta fucking respect that.
In some ways, I think is kind of unprecedented with the support of the Republican Party. The base of the Republican Party behind one guy. But well, let me just say, political gravity is a real thing. I know a little bit about gravity. And political gravity is...
He made a space joke.
Gravity is going to increase on this guy. He is going to become less popular because his policies are not popular. And as he becomes less popular, as he drops down into the low 40s in approval rating, and then into the...
He's already in the low 40s.
The Republicans in the House and the Senate are going to start to distance themselves from him.
This is the James Carville.
And they will get off the sidelines. So many of them are just sitting on the sidelines. They'll tell Senator Booker and I stuff in private they would never say in public about him. And what you're doing
what good does it do us?
Has a huge impact. So please don't stop. And talk about these issues. I think it was Susan, or it wasn't Ramona. I think it was.
The country will be sick of him. I have no doubt about that.
For folks to know here that we don't have multiple different healthcare systems in the state of Arizona. There's not a healthcare system for people on Medicaid, and another one for people on Medicare, and another one for private insurance or private payer. It's all the same system, and the foundation of that system in the state of Arizona and in other states is Medicaid. If we kick 400,000 people off of Medicaid, hospitals like TMC, where Gabby was born, and our grandkid was born at TMC, or Banner, they lose a significant amount of revenue. But they don't lose the patients. They just stop getting paid for them. But they have to lay off staff, and they have to cut expenses. And what that will do, it will collapse the rest of the healthcare system. So it doesn't matter if you're on Medicaid or not. You should be against these Medicaid cuts. Because regardless of who you are, they're going to affect you.
So I can't help but
So are you arguing for Medicare for all?
They want you to feel powerless. They want to overwhelm you. They want to make you think that you can't stop this. They want you to make that you think that you are ultimately incapable of stopping their power and their might. But I want to tell you this right now, that we...
Yes, Flash, you're exactly right.
Excuse me, no, I'm sorry. We'll let you speak if you want to speak. But if you don't sit down, we're going to have to bring you out. You will have to leave, ma'am. Alrighty, we totally understand you. We understand. But you're going to have to leave, ma'am. You made your point, ma'am. You made your point. You're going to have to leave.
She's pro-Palestinian.
You're going to have to leave. You made your point, ma'am.
I couldn't make out everything.
Who's the next speaker?
Well, she said Israel is beheading babies and the people of Gaza don't have health care.
Victoria.
So,
and she is correct.
We do care. And what is happening?
You don't care.
Is horrific, and we absolutely understand.
If I may,
ironic, Mr. Spronk, welcome in.
If I may, a couple of things. First of all, I applaud what she did. There are veterans here. There are veterans here that fought for the right for free speech.
Yes.
Fought for the right to protest.
Oh, Gabby's sitting there.
This is the traditions.
I just noticed that.
Yes.
When did the protesters around the abolitionist movement, were they successful? Mm-hmm. Which one was the one that stopped? But those noble people who stood up and said this is wrong, they eventually made a difference.
Tossed a protester out.
In the civil rights movement. I hear their voices. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, but she kept fighting. And so I'm telling you right now, I have seen movements come. When we fought against the health care cuts that they wanted to stop, they wanted to tear down the Affordable Care Act, affecting 20 million people. It was a slow-growing movement. When he started, the actual approval rating of the Affordable Care Act was underwater.
I love that I can sit here and play right wingers all day. And like you guys, like you eat it up. But we can start playing the liberals. DJ Dub's like, nope, I'm pissed. I gotta go. Flashlight is too much liberal for me. I love you guys so much. That is wild for him to talk about admiring protesters and not giving up as they're like having a protester take it out. Yeah. Well, good. You missed out on all the liberal action. It's making Flash disgusted over here. That is wild, though. I admire these protesters that fight, never give up, as they're having somebody hauled out. Cory Booker, wow. Let's do a little bit of crime here. We're doing the transition from politics to crime, which is kind of hard to know. Yeah. The governor of Pennsylvania had his house firebombed over the weekend. We've got new details. The dude was taken to court today, and he seems like he's a real nut job.
But we begin tonight with new details from Harrisburg in the arson investigation at the Pennsylvania governor's mansion. These pictures show the severity.
Prometheus, welcome in. I just learned something today. You got your name from an X-Files episode. And apparently it's an insane episode that I should watch because it's a mindfuck. What do you think about that? Let's smoke one. Light one up, tip one back. Is that one of your favorite episodes? Or did you just like it's got an alliteration to it. It rolls off the tongue. What gave it away? I just saw a friend bitching about, I have a friend that will give running commentary on things he's watching at the time. And he's like, dude, this episode of X-Files called Postmodern Prometheus. And I was like, oh, I bet I know where that name comes from now. Welcome in, my friend. It's good to see you. We have the yeah, hey, I know that bitch. It's exactly what I said. Well, my friend also asked me if I'd ever watched the X-Files. I'm like, I've only seen one episode. I want to say it was a Christmas episode because we watch holiday specials on the stream. I was the Leo pointing at the TV meme. And he's like, oh, I know that episode. It's the one with it was Ed Eisner and Lily Tomlin. And I'm like, yeah, that's the one. Yeah, we watched that on stream. Wasn't good. All right, anyway. Cody Balmer, the man who jumped the fence at the governor's mansion in Pennsylvania, threw a Molotov or two into the governor's mansion, appeared in court today, and apparently he is a wild one.
But we begin tonight with new details from Harrisburg in the arson investigation at the Pennsylvania governor's mansion. These pictures show the severity of the fire and the extent of the damage. And today, fire officials say it could have been much worse. We're also learning more about the suspect, 38.
I'm thinking neo-Nazi.
Seen here, the fire chief calling him a domestic terrorist. This is the Fox 29 News at 6. I'm Sheba Russell.
And I'm Jennifer Lee. More than 24 people were in the home just hours before celebrating Passover. In just the last half hour, state troopers walked Balmer into his arraignment.
Sir, what were you thinking of Sunday morning? What were you thinking of Sunday? Why did you do that? Why do you say you hate the governor? Why do you hate the governor? What is...
I saw it from the that camera's perspective.
Police accurate? Your father said he tried to help you, sir.
And you can hear our Fox 29 reporter Jeff Cole asking multiple questions as Balmer was led into a judge's office in Harrisburg to face charges of attempted murder, terrorism, and aggravated arson. Balmer is accused of setting fire to Governor Josh Shapiro's home in Harrisburg Sunday. Police say he jumped the fence around 2 in the morning and threw a gasoline-filled bottle into the house.
Investigators say Balmer then broke into the home, through a window, and started a fire in 2 rooms with intent to do as much damage as possible.
The Molotov cocktail is no different than a gun. When I got that Molotov...
My friend, I can tell you many differences between a Molotov cocktail and a gun. There are numerous differences. Kind of a completely different ball game. You're not comparing apples to oranges. You're comparing like candy bars to oranges here. Like, Jesus, dude.
Police say he jumped the fence around 2 in the morning.
Just like a gun.
A gasoline-filled bottle into the house.
Investigators say Balmer then broke into the home, through a window, and started a fire in 2 rooms with intent to do as much damage as possible.
The Molotov cocktail is no different than a gun. When I got that Molotov cocktail in my hand, I know at the end of the day, I'm going to create damage, destruction.
This is a pyromaniac talking. Investigate this man immediately.
And probably going through the terrorist's mind was, I want to kill somebody.
That fire happening just hours after Shapiro's family had just celebrated Passover. Investigators say Balmer told them he would have attacked Governor Shapiro with a hammer if he saw him. Our Jeff Cole was just inside the court there for Balmer's arraignment. Jeff, what happened inside?
Charged with some 7 counts related to what's gone on here, including attempted murder, 8 counts actually, including attempted murder, and then he was denied bail. So we actually will see him, or should see him coming out real quickly. Let me just show you. So this is the state police vehicle sitting right outside the side door. Here is the Dauphin County.
Yeah, he did apparently want to take a hammer to Shapiro.
Before 6 o'clock or so, you heard us sort of shouting questions to him as he came.
Yeah, there's a T in Molotov.
He told the judge that he's been living with his parents.
It's like Mazel Tov.
He said that he
only different.
Have drug problems. He said he did not have a problem with alcohol. He said he was not working at this point, but had worked for a welder apparently for about a year or so. He is 38 years old. This is the man, as you said that he hated Governor Josh Shapiro and hoped that if he had seen Shapiro inside the residence at just after 2 o'clock on Sunday morning, as you said, he wanted to hit him with a hammer. Now, inside the court here, he sat before a judge and was flat, really, had very little to say, answered questions yes or no, yes or no, nothing much more than that. He was asked whether he had some sort of history of drug abuse. He said that's the rumor, Judge, but that is not the case.
That's the rumor.
Children, he said that he had many children, is what he said. No further explanation of that. He sat next to a lawyer.
I have sired many
offspring. The judge asked him that if he understood the charges against him, which again include car pulling out here, attempted murder and aggravated assault, charges related to arson as well. He said he did in fact understand the charges here, and then the judge simply said, listen, I don't think there's any way to protect the public from you, so I will deny you bail. And that's where this situation stands now. Again, we expect to see him out here pretty soon. I'll have my photographer Brian Zeli pan a little bit.
The Molotov Mazel Tov thing?
Have a bunch of
it seems like that could be taken as anti-Semitic.
Cameras and reporters waiting for him to come out. When he does come out, we are very likely, in fact, I can guarantee we will shout questions at him again to see if we can hear anything from him. Again, this is what they say about him. Before 2 o'clock on Sunday morning, he actually walked to the governor's residence. He jumped a fence on Geiger Street, they allege. He threw a
You're right, Flash.
which they're described as a empty Heineken beer bottle filled with lawnmower gasoline, threw it into the residence. It started a fire there, broke a window, entered the residence, threw the Molotov cocktail there, and then ran off, later turning himself in. One more point. The fire chief from Harrisburg spoke today suggesting that if they hadn't had doors shut from the rooms that had burned, if those doors weren't shut, there was concern there, he thinks, that the fire would have rolled up a stairway up.
I was thinking the same thing, Flash. Now, I did think, like, back in the day, I seem to remember, like, you had to mix your gasoline with something. But, like, all the lawnmowers in recent memory, like I had, just used regular old, gas you got from a gas station. But I do seem to kind of remember my dad used to have to, like, mix something back in the day. Like an old-ass lawnmower.
The main area on the second floor, possibly truly imperiling the governor, his family, and people that were in his home who had just celebrated the Seder. Waiting
No, Doran, totally a neo-Nazi.
to see him come out. We will certainly record that, get that material back to you later in the show if we can get that done. Jeff Cole live here in Dauphin County. Folks, back to you.
Some interesting developments to come out of the courtroom today, Jeff. One quick question for you.
A homegrown.
You mentioned that the suspect, Cody Balmer, had been living with his parents for the last year. Was there any mention in court as to where he had been living before that? Was it always PA?
He didn't answer any question about that. The judge actually first asked him where you've been living, and he named the correctional facility where I think he was held overnight. He said that, so it was sort of quick in a sense that way, but then only spoke about living with his parents for the last year. I will say this, and we do have video of this. We banged on his parents' door where he had been living earlier in the day today.
Oh, leave the parents alone.
Comes to the window barking at us, and then a man appears who it seems to me, may have been his father. He wouldn't tell me, and I asked him if he'd speak to us, and he said, "No, I won't speak to you, but I will tell you this," he says. "I will tell you this. We tried to get him help. We tried to get him help," is what this man said to me, and when I questioned him further, he yelled at me and said, "That's all I'm going to say, but we tried to get him help," he says, and that's all we saw of him. We're waiting for him to come out here and jump back into the state police van and being taken away at some point now to a lockup. No bail.
Yeah, that is very telling. No bail. All right, Jeff Cole, thank you.
Well, there you go. As I said, if you want to look up the picture from the other camera's point of view, it's wild where he's sticking out his tongue. Let me see if I can find it. Cody Balmer. Yeah, there we go. We saw it from the other side. This is him at the camera, or one of the other cameras. He kind of looks like Tommaso Ciampa, the wrestler. Not as buff. Tommaso Ciampa is actually in really good shape. This next one might be a little graphic. This is the only graphic story we've got tonight, so if you're a little squeamish, maybe give us 5 minutes and we'll be back to some bullshit, okay? But this one's pretty freaking graphic. A stabbing at a funeral home led to a gruesome discovery.
All right, let's get back to that breaking news in Southwest Houston. A man stabbed at a mortuary and reports that the bodies inside are in poor condition.
Fox 26 Jonathan Mejia live there at the scene where I understand, Jonathan, police just spoke.
That's right, Carolina Anthony. We just heard from Houston police who gave an update as to what was going on here. Now, there's two different scenes that they are investigating. The first one is that stabbing. So Houston police did confirm that the staff from
Different story. She didn't stab him in the dick. She cut his dick off and stuffed it down his throat. And she was training somebody when she did it.
Richardson Mortuary stabbed one of the family members. Now, he claimed self-defense. The district attorney's office decided to not press charges against him. Now, the second scene that they're investigating is obviously the bodies inside of this mortuary in the conditions that they found themselves in. So you'll hear right now from Houston Police kind of explain to us what led up to the stabbing.
One of the workers allowed him inside. He saw some bodies that were laying on the floor. He filmed it.
Media winch.
Put it on social media. At that point, family.
Wait! You just put bodies on social media? I would get fucking demonetized for that. I'd take that shit would get taken down. I get banned on Facebook.
Showed up here. Worker was upset. He and the suspect, or he and the complainant, got in a scuffle. He stabbed the complainant. The complainant drove himself to the hospital, as mentioned previously, and the suspect was released after we received his information. DA did not accept charges at the time. It was a superficial wound. The complainant is not in the hospital right at this moment.
So it's still a very active investigation. Lots of information flowing around here. As for the owner of the mortuary, we are told that at this time he is not facing any charges, but of course that can change as the investigation continues.
This is the initial reporting. The disturbing discovery was made Friday when police responded to Richardson Mortuary in Houston following reports that a funeral home worker attacked a customer who began filming the bodies. What a clusterfuck of criminal activity indeed. Media Winch, thank you for the resub. The victim's sister, Tamara McGruder, said she and her brother had gone to the mortuary to check on their mother. I opened up the casket and she had gnats in her face. Grim video captured by McGruber and her brother showed the conditions with bodies haphazardly splayed on tables and gurneys. Some were wrapped in plastic while others were left partially uncovered. McGruder said there was also no air conditioning. It's bodies in caskets, boxes, plastic bags, no AC, gnats. It smells like rotten blood. Wow. The unidentified funeral worker. Can we get some charges against the funeral home owner? Because clearly there is something going on here. The unidentified funeral worker told the family to leave, but when they refused, the worker stabbed McGruder's brother, and that's what she recounted to the outlet. The wound was minor, and he was able to drive himself to the hospital. Since the suspect claimed self-defense, charges were not filed. After a video of the bodies began circulating on social media, other families recognized their loved ones. Merida Brown recognized her grandmother, Bonnie Ashley, who was supposed to be cremated last month. Wow. Do we have a video of victims?
All eyes were on Richardson Mortuary as a grieving family became desperate to find the body of their mother. Not only did they find her body, but what they found led to an investigation.
Death, like a body decaying. Death. You know how blood smells? You can see the blood. You can see when it didn't turn brown. You can smell everything. They have bodies on stretchers.
After searching for their mother's body, Tamara and her brother discovered multiple deceased bodies laying in boxes, some on the floor, caskets, and no air conditioning.
It's not dignifying. It's very embarrassing. It's hurtful when you're already grieving. And to find not only your mom is not been taken care of, you have other people who does not even know that their family is here laying on the table, and these people are charging an arm and a leg, and the bodies are just laying there.
That was the case for Demetrius Riley Sylvester. The mortuary that they had cremated her brother's body, only to find out he was still intact.
It's like some trash, a dog. Just throw it away like he trash. And she had me believing that he's already, we just waiting on him to bring the ashes.
Tamara and her brother had been observing the mortuary for days before deciding to enter and get answers. The confrontation led a staff member to stab Tamara's brother. The owner of the
FinVox, they didn't just come in off the street. It was their, like, the family was there tending to a loved one, which I forget, like, I'm confused now because we've had a lot of different people, but the brother and sister, it was their mom. And that's who they were there, like, supposed to be cremated?
The mortuary has been in the hospital recovering from a heart condition. Houston police says at this time he does not face any charges, but it could change as the investigation continues. The bodies were taken to another funeral home with proper conditions. Houston police continues to investigate. At this time, the owner does not face any charges, but police say that can change as the investigation continues. Reporting in Southwest Houston, Jonathan Mejia, Fox 26 News.
Well, that was something. On to the bullshit part of the show. Wow, that was a fun story. The biggest trial in Meta's history started today. Here's what to know, and nobody's really covering it now, are they? I haven't heard anybody talk about it. I'm sure Sam will talk about it whenever he's back on the Majority Report. The Federal Trade Commission's blockbuster antitrust case against Meta kicked off today in a courtroom in Washington, D.C. It's a culmination of a nearly 6-year investigation into whether the social media giant broke competition laws in acquiring Instagram and WhatsApp. At stake is the future of Meta's $1.4 trillion advertising business and the prospect of having to spin off its hugely popular services into separate companies, a corporate breakup the likes of which has not been seen since AT&T's telephone monopoly was forced to split apart more than 40 years ago. Lawyers for the FTC and Meta will deliver opening statements on Monday before U.S. District Judge James Boasberg. Good. I'm glad it's Boasberg. In a trial expected to stretch for 7 to 8 weeks, reams of evidence and dozens of witnesses will be scrutinized. The government plans to call CEO Mark Zuckerberg, former COO Sheryl Sandberg, and the head of Instagram Adam Mosseri to the witness stand. The FTC argues that when Meta acquired Instagram in 2012 and WhatsApp 2 years later, there was part of a strategy to eliminate competition and maintain monopoly power over the social media market. Yeah, it was. The government contends that a buy or bury strategy propelled Meta's acquisitions, leading Meta to gobble up competitors it viewed as threats or to squash the rivals out of business altogether. In a 2012 internal email government lawyers plan to present, Zuckerberg wrote that buying Instagram was motivated by a desire to neutralize a potential competitor. The FTC says this alleged behavior is illegal under federal antitrust laws. I didn't think this trial was going to happen, and I thought that's why Zuckerberg was sucking up to Trump. The government argues that the only way to restore competition to the social media marketplace is for Meta to be forced to unwind its purchases of both Instagram and WhatsApp. The government says divesting those apps will allow smaller social media companies to compete for consumers and ad dollars and loosen Meta's grip on the industry. Exactly, Prometheus. Just like when Bill Gates offered Homer a buyout of his internet company. Meta counters that it is being punished for being an innovative and aggressive tech company. It is not innovative. It is indeed aggressive. It has always competed fairly, Meta's lawyers say, and regulators are attempting to punish the tech titan's runaway success. Lawyers for Meta have also said in court filings that the acquisitions of Instagram and WhatsApp were approved by regulators more than a decade ago. And yeah, they were, because Obama was in the pocket of big tech. The Democrats were totally in the pocket of big tech. And look what happened. The Democrats are fractured now. I don't even know. Like, the Democrats aren't a monolith, and there is nobody coalescing in the party. Like, Obama's power is the least it's ever been in the party, I believe. Hillary, Biden as well. That's why if Bernie has an opening, it very well is this time. And I mean, it's not like we don't have video of billionaires doing stupid shit like launching pop stars into lower atmosphere.
Liftoff. New Shepard has cleared the tower of this whole ascent. Oprah watching her.
Fuck you, Oprah.
Oh, the moon! You guys, I have to tell you, look at the moon. Look. Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God!
Well over 345,000 feet, well over the Kármán line.
Wow!
And despite the sporty perception, there it is.
I just want.
It's Amanda Nugent. She didn't get to go to space, right?
No dream is too wild.
Gail King,
Just have to have a moment with the ground.
Oprah's friend.
Just appreciate the ground.
I would say that we are forever bounded, because you can't go through what we went through to look out for each other, to help each other, and not be changed by that.
Katy Perry.
I mean, it's not about singing my songs.
Because I assume Bezos wants to bang her, possibly?
It's about making space for future women and taking up space and belonging. You never know how much love is inside of you, like how much.
Wow.
And how loved you are.
Objectively, hey, this I didn't put this on the list, but let me find this. William Shatner was one of the first people to go on one of Jeff Bezos' dick rockets, right? His quote was wild. Where's the whole quote at? I saw more clearly than I have, with all the studying and reading I've done, the withering, slow death of Earth and we on it. It's a little tiny rock with an onion skin air around it. That's how fragile it all is. It's so fragile. We hang by a thread. We're just dangling. We're entangled with each other. We have a war. The stupidity of it all becomes obvious. That's wild that NPR left off like... the best part of the quote. I was crying. I didn't know what I was crying about. I had to go off someplace and sit down and think, what's the matter with me? And I realized I was in grief. It was among the strongest feelings of grief I ever encountered. This is what NPR left off. The contrast between the vicious coldness of space and the warm nurturing of Earth below filled me with an overwhelming sadness. Every day, we are confronted with the knowledge of further destruction of Earth at our hands, the extinction of animal species, of flora and fauna, things that took 5 billion years to evolve, and suddenly we will never see them again because of the interference of mankind. It filled me with dread. My trip to space was supposed to be a celebration. Instead, it felt like a funeral. Why did NPR leave that part off? I don't consume a lot of NPR anymore, but they really don't do a good job of reporting like they did 20, 30 years ago. The fuck was that? Why would you leave off the best part of that quote? And now here is what Jon Stewart would call your moment of zen after I pissed you off with all the billionaires. Are you ready for this? This is Jeff Bezos getting off the spaceship.
Thank you for sharing how you feel out
here. You see his dumb ass.
So it's been really, really incredible. So yeah, thank you for sharing how you feel out here with our audience. So it's been really, really incredible. So yeah, thank you for sharing.
Took a tumble into the dirt
with our audience. So it's been really, really incredible. So yeah. Thank you for sharing.
Fuck you, Jeff Bezos.
With our audience. So it's been really, really incredible. So yeah.
Honestly, I might not have done the whole story if I didn't have the video of him falling at the end. I might not have done it without that video. Oh, we couldn't get that lucky. Some of you guys are slackers out there and you procrastinate until the absolute last minute. So this is your reminder. You need to do your taxes.
Well, tomorrow is tax day, the deadline to file your return, but not everyone is going to meet the deadline.
Right. So if you need some extra time to file, NBC 10 Responds Managing Your Money is walking you through a step that you can take to avoid a penalty. Marked on the calendar, the final day to file your taxes on time is tomorrow.
Many people are getting it done before tax filing day, but we have some people who are still going to need to file an extension.
Allison Flores is a manager with the Tax Institute at H&R Block. Applying for a tax extension postpones your deadline until October 15th. An extension can prevent a failure to file penalty, and the penalty is 5% of the balance due for each month it's outstanding. If you owe the IRS money, an extension does not give you extra time to pay.
The failure to pay penalty is 0.5% of your balance due every month. So as you go out each month, your penalties will start to accrue and get bigger.
The IRS will also assess interest on that amount due. Not filing when the IRS owes you money will also cost you.
They're not going to issue that refund until you file. So anyone who's probably due a refund, majority of people have a refund. You have to file a return.
If you want to file for an extension, you have to fill out Form 4860.
Refund? I haven't got one of those since the Trump tax policy kicked in.
IRS website if you want to mail it in. You'll need to fill out your estimated tax liability for 2024, then make sure it's postmarked by April 15th, the tax deadline. Or anyone can file an extension online with an IRS free file partner.
Once you have that extension, you want to file as soon as possible.
If you do owe the IRS and you can't afford it, Flores says avoiding filing is not the answer. It's better in the long run to file your taxes and do an installment plan with the IRS.
The IRS does offer short-term extension plans and long-term installment agreements if you do need more time to pay on an installment basis. So that is a good option.
I did not know that people impacted by storms in Tennessee, I would assume that applies to North Carolina, Georgia, got an extension.
And there are a few ways that you can apply for a payment agreement with the IRS. You can go online through the online payment agreement tool. You can also apply by mail by submitting Form 9465. NBC 10 Responds has all this helpful information for you, covering everything from credits to withholdings, free resources. Just scan that QR code right there. That'll take you to our website. We have put it all in one place for you.
Now, you might have heard, because I've been talking about it a lot, because I'm really excited for it, that this week is WrestleMania week. This coming Saturday and Sunday is the grandest stage of them all, WrestleMania 41. Apparently, Bret Hart went on Sky Sports, possibly to promote WrestleMania. And I love me some Bret Hart.
I cannot believe the excitement we got around here at the moment. There's more people in this studio than ever before, because here we have a treat for all you WWE fans out there. We are joined by the 5-time WWE champion and WWE Hall of Famer.
The best there is.
Known as the best there is, the best
there was, and the best there ever will be.
Will be.
Yes.
It is, of course. Bret the Hitman Hart, very warm welcome to you. Nobody, of course, could forget your match against British Bulldog. You mentioned him at SummerSlam 92. That was held here in London, the old Wembley. Over 80,000 people were there that day. Ultimately, you lost the Intercontinental Championship. Do you look upon it fondly? How strange was it for you fighting your brother-in-law?
I think it was probably one of
one of my greatest matches.
Well, just do your taxes.
I don't think that match.
It won't take you more than 20, 30 minutes.
Help me.
Tops.
I think I took the momentum from that match and took it, and a month later I was world champion. So it was. It's a special match in the sense that I think when you go back, I love to watch the match at Wembley just because of the crowd. When you look up,
does he mention Goldberg?
That audience was riveted to every move and how it was like that old school wrestling crowd that you get. It's not like today's crowd, but it was just the most amazing, energetic wrestling audience that I ever worked in front of, including all the ones I've had in the United States.
The British Bulldog, he was just one of many wrestlers you feuded with.
Rest in peace, Davey Boy.
Most memorable for you, Stone Cold Steve Austin springs to mind, doesn't he? Undertaker, Shawn Michaels. What was your favorite?
We watched Stone Cold and Brett last Saturday.
My favorite feud probably was my brother Owen. But, you know,
we watched Brett and Owen this past Saturday.
And Shawn Michaels and Stone Cold, those were all, you know, just the best of the best. You know, they were all great to work with. And I think the match I had with Steve Austin at WrestleMania 13 just stands out today as one of the most iconic matches in wrestling. So I'm really proud of all of them. And you know, the Wembley match goes right up with all those other ones too.
What about today's generation of wrestlers? You enjoy watching it still? Who do you enjoy watching?
You know, I really enjoy
Gunther.
The wrestling today, but I find it's changed. Wrestling's changed now to where it's more a lot of orchestrated high spots, they call them. And my era, there was a few high spots, but it was I think it was better storytelling in the 90s. And the wrestlers today are not. I don't think they're as dramatic as the wrestlers were in the 90s. And I don't think in that sense that they don't tell as good as stories with their matches. And it's hard to be original in wrestling. It's really tough today to do things that haven't been done before. You know, wrestling's just a square with some ropes around it, and you know, you think back, going back to the 60s and the 70s, that everything you could think of was already done in a lot of ways. And I did my best throughout my career to always be original, come up with new things, just new things and new ways to do things. But I think...
Oh, but Alien, have you not watched enough wrestling with me on the weekends?
The same problem of trying to be creative.
I know how good and rich the stories can be.
Things that nobody's seen before, and it's just hard to do.
Oh, he didn't complain about Goldberg. Because the match with Bret Hart and Stone Cold, where Stone Cold comes in the bad guy and goes out the good guy, and Bret goes in the good guy and comes out the bad guy. Beautiful, beautiful storytelling. All right, here is a puppy video. It is Live Music Monday. We're going to be doing WrestleMania live performances tonight. This is Rebecca Pepin from East Tennessee.
Beautiful girl. This is Miss Kate. She's about 2 years old. She was...
Miss Kate is gorgeous.
Car wash in Hampton. And no one's come to claim her. She's been at the Carter County Animal Shelter for about a month now. She's a love. A total love. She's so sweet. She's not bothered by the cats here. She does not really want to have anything to do with other dogs. But that's only because she wants all the attention. She doesn't fight or bite. That's what she wants.
Look at that baby.
She wants to be only yours without sharing the love, right?
I bet she wants to be a lap dog like Ryan was last night on
Tell her.
Whose Line?
She thinks she's a lap dog, but she's huge. But it's okay. We got to find her the right home where that's going to be all right. Where someone's going to...
I'd totally let her lay in my lap.
Put her on my couch. Aren't you sweet? She's just so beautiful. Aren't you? Oh my goodness.
If you're in East Tennessee and you need a sweet puppy.
Darling girl, we love you. Yes, we do. Let's get you a forever home. Do you think that would be a good idea? She does. She thinks it would be a great idea.
Yes, I hope she got her forever home.
If you would like to open your home and your heart to beautiful Miss Kate, reach out to the Elizabethan Carter County Animal Shelter.
Oh, she doesn't seem like a hostage video.
Let me introduce you to 90 pounds of love.
She's so sweet.
Girl.
Twitchy people, stick with me. If you're watching on Rumble, Kick, Facebook,
Wandering as a
YouTube, listen to the podcast, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm JustinFREAKIN. We'll see you tomorrow night on the Troll Patrol, live.
Total love. She's so sweet. She's not bothered by the cats here. She does not really want to have anything to do with other dogs, but that's only because she wants all the attention. She doesn't fight or bite, but she wants to be yours.